big picture in a sec. But over the weekend, we got some news about Joel Bitonio. According to Mary Kay Cavesty, if you want to take tag board here full, he is undetermined on his future, still working through his decision on whether or not to retire. He will give the Browns an answer soon before free agency begins, but he has not made up his mind at this point. He does say he's leaning one way, but he's not ready to announce which way he is leaning. Jay, have we seen the last of Joel Bitonio in a Browns uniform?
I think we have, yeah. In my experience with players, in talking with them over the years about their decision to retire, they almost always, not every time, but almost always are when they say they're leaning one way or the other, it's almost always, I'm going to retire. Now, that doesn't mean that he's going to, but the fact that for you to get to the point in your brain where you're considering it, you already know what the answer is, or you wouldn't be asking the question. That's why I think, in my experience, they know. And I've had guys tell me the exact same thing. More so with baseball players, oddly enough. Mm-hmm. But I've had some NFL players tell me when I started asking the question, I think I already knew the answer, and I was trying to talk myself out of the answer, mm-hmm. and at the end I couldn't. So maybe he'll play again, but he hasn't been the same player. I think we'll all agree on that. He has been I don't want to say injury prone, but he's been dinged. Mm. And that typically, and Bull, we've talked about this before, this is a position where you get old quick. Mm-hmm. It happens right mm-hmm. before your eyes, and you're like, wow, he's just not the same guy. Yeah. Maybe he'll come back, but right now I would tend to think if I'm betting, I'm putting more chips on he's done than he's coming back.
Here's a few different reasons why I do believe he's leaning towards not coming back. The first part is you take a look at Joel Bitonio and you look at what his body pretty much is going through. When you're on the outside and you're playing tackle, it's a finesse game. You know, even when you're run blocking, you're trying to reach people and trying to get the corner on a lot of people. It's not too many people inside. It's less wear and tear. But when you're playing guard, like you're in a phone box or phone booth with like a spoon fight. Like you just with blunt objects. It's just wild. Like, so for him to be a guard, one, it takes its toll on your body. Two, if he was outside and just pass rushing, that would be a little bit less on him. But I look at it this way. Nobody wants a new boss. You say, what does that mean, G. Bush? Nobody, listen, at this point in your time, like that's just like we sit here right today. And I know this is, I don't know you guys, but somebody from upstairs says, hey, new general manager, Jay.
Right. Change.
You see
the
his
unknown.
Face.
The unknown.
Jay, like he automatically, when you've been here a certain while, now me or McNuggets, we like, yeah, listen, we young boys, we young wolves, we got to go get it wherever.
We'll roll with the punches.
Yep. But when you get older, you see Jay put it,
Well, we're going through that upstairs, oddly enough. We're going through it. Our longtime GM, Mickey Burns, has said, yeah, the April's it for me.
And then you looking around like, come on, I do not want no young dude with a lot of energy coming here. You know what the program is. I got a specific certain schedule. Don't be coming here trying to amp me up. They come in with all kind of dudes. He has a new offensive line coach.
Yeah.
So this is two in the last, I guess, 2 years. He used to be in with Callahan. Who's the guy before, the big guy? That was the
Wiley.
Bob Wiley.
Bob Wiley.
He's used to a certain pedigree, and now I got to deal with this. And then plus too, can you imagine? Offensive line play is only good as who's calling the signals. Do you think that he wants to get back there and hear guys fumble calls in and they got a rookie quarterback and they don't know which way they doing and he throwing interceptions. You got to say all the right stuff and you're like, I'm tired of this.
And I'm pretty sure he doesn't need the money.
And he don't need the money. Offensive linemen don't spend no money.
One other thing that I left out in my comments, the reason I think he's gone public he's wrestling with this idea.
Right, yeah.
If he does come back, everybody else in the offensive line room are going to be saying, do you think he should have come back?
Yeah.
Is he fully here?
Right.
Because he was already talking about quitting.
Well,
that's why I think if you go public with the idea that you're wrestling with the decision is made.
Especially, and I agree with both of everything you said, Jay, and Chi. First of all, what you said, like when you're a veteran player and the season's first over, certainly you can understand why guys would think about retiring.
Right.
But now, like, the Browns have been done playing for almost 2 months.
Right.
It's like 6 weeks or whatever. So by this point in the past, maybe last year Joel thought about retiring when Callahan was gone.
But didn't tell anybody about it.
But didn't tell anybody, and maybe that's how he felt for a week after the season. And then he started to feel better, as I'm sure guys feel better after a couple of weeks. And he was like, nah, I still can play, right?
Yeah.
If he's still not sure 6 weeks later, that's a huge difference. Because he's got to make the decision before free agency, because otherwise he screws the team
it's time.
if he retires after free agency starts. So he's going to make the decision. The fact that he was undecided and said that he's leaning one way, I don't see how it could possibly be the other way. Now, again, as you said, maybe we'll be surprised.
Right.
But he's looking at the situation. As you guys said, we've all talked to Joel Bitonio because he's been consistently, he gets voted as the best guy for the media because he talks all the time. He's extremely smart. Odds are he's been good with his money. He doesn't need the money. I think if the Browns were on the verge of a Super Bowl, maybe he'd give it one more go. I'm sure Joe Thomas, if the Browns had been on the verge of a Super Bowl, might have given it one more season. But he's looking at a situation where he has no idea who the quarterback's going to be. He has no idea who his left tackle is going to be playing next to him. Their offensive line is deteriorating. They have very little talent, period, on the offense. And he's been, as you said, Jay, just physically beat up. He's played through almost all of it. But like Joe Thomas, who played through all these injuries, so has Joel. Him and Joe Thomas are buddies. And he talks to Joe, obviously, all the time. Joel's got to be saying, am I going to go out there and take another beating for another year for a team that's going to win 5 games? I'm not doing that.
And Joe Thomas talks about this, and this is going through Myles Garrett's head, too. He's getting to the point of the season where this bull is. He has to start working out.
Right. Yes. right.
And it's harder and harder every year.
He's sitting there right now, like he's like, I'm gonna take a load off. I'm gonna hang out with my kids. I'm gonna hang out with my wife and family time. He's been on vacation. He came back, and that thing in the back of your head, and then that thing that starts ticking, like, hey man, Jay, you might want to start throwing these pitches. You might what are you doing? You might want to start getting on that treadmill.
I would say February gets here fast.
They get here, and he's sitting there thinking about it like, I just don't got it right now.
Yeah, I don't have the energy.
I don't have the want to, and that's
scary.
A good
point. That's a good point. The other thing, Bull, that I wonder, we've talked about Joel before as could be a Hall of Famer. I wonder if he's talked to Joe Thomas. I wonder if he's doing some calculus on if I put one more good year in the bank,
Maybe.
will that help me get the gold jacket? Personally, trying to take my bias out of it, I don't think he's done enough.
No.
And in that vein, I don't think there's anything he can do in one more year that will get him over the hump.
I agree. He's a
great
so
player.
few offensive linemen.
He's
I know
He's
there
a
are.
ring of-
You've got to be transformational.
He's an
excellent offensive lineman.
He is.
But he's a notch below the Hall of Fame level.
Ring of Honor guy.
Is Zach Martin a Hall of Famer?
When
I don't know enough.
Yeah, but when I hear names, I always do the
feel like
name
yes,
test.
yeah.
I feel like with Zach Martin, yes.
How
now
many
they're probably
times?
played. I bet their careers are the same length.
He played 9 seasons.
Okay, I don't know what year. What is this?
Zach Martin was drafted the same year Aaron Donald and Odell Beckham Jr. were.
Okay,
those were 3 picks back to back to back.
Wow, that's a hell of a. That's.
I just think the biggest thing in the end is what you said, Jay, earlier. Once you've considered retiring at this level, not just for a week after the season, but for almost 2 months later, if there's part of you that thinks you should retire, it's got to be hard to get that engine going again, especially where it needs to be for him to have success.
don't think you tell a reporter
No.
if unless you are 80% sure.
Right.
Could there be something that could maybe trigger, I'm going to play one more year?
Right.
Yes. But if you're telling a reporter that you're doing the math on this, then your teammates know. And if you're thinking about being out, you've got 1 foot out the door.
That's right.
And it's probably
time
to go.
It's like working on a Friday when you're going on a week-long vacation after. You're not locked in on that
You're
show.
there, but you're not there.
For the sake of this, let's say Bitonio does retire.
Yeah.
He may change his mind, but they drafted Zak Zinter in the 3rd round last year. Is Zinter ready to He can't fill Joel Bitonio's shoes, but is he ready to step in and be the everyday starter at left guard?
He better be. I mean, that's all they got. I don't have much faith in it. He played last year. He has to get much stronger. He's not really a great athlete. Well, Joel Bitonio, even at this point, is not a great athlete, but he's exponentially stronger, better hands, knows the tricks of the trade. Is that a downgrade at guard? Yes, it is. Even the body types, right? One of the things that they've been trying to get away with, and I think they've kind of done so, even when you get Nick Harris and you got Zak Zinter, if you plan on being a bruising team and you want to run the football, you got to look at what you was doing when you were successful. Y'all better go back to y'all better get a fullback. Yeah. You better get you some more tight ends that can block. David Njoku is a good blocker, but you need bigger bodies. Zak Zinter, are you really going to get a guy? Zak Zinter is not even that. He don't outweigh me, and I'm a civilian. I don't like that. That's not. That ain't going to get it done. Like, you're going to have a lot of different things. Are they going to miss a lot of stuff? Sure. And DeJuan Jones is going to have to play at a level where now he is not the add-on. He's going to have to be the guy.
Yeah.
He's going to have to be the guy when it's like, hey, I got this. I'm holding this side down by myself. Yeah. That's the scary part about it. You've had him, and then you think about it like this. Wyatt Teller is another guy who, you've always known what you have from guard to guard. You've always known that. Yeah. And this season, if they do have Bitonio go out, it's the first time you're starting to see people move into that direction, which signals a rebuild. I mean,
I look at their offensive line, which 2 years ago, certainly 3 years ago, was a major strength of this team.
It was.
As now trending towards being one of the biggest weaknesses on the team, of a team that unfortunately has a lot of weaknesses
Too many
right now.
Weaknesses, yeah.
I'm worried. I'm big time worried about the offensive line with him retiring. I don't know what you got at left tackle. Conklin played well at right tackle last year, but he's been extremely injury prone. Wyatt Teller's play has declined. They got bad play from the center last year.
Yeah.
It's a major concern, the offensive line. Listen, to be fair to Zak Zinter, he was a rookie last year and he didn't play that much. Yeah. But I don't know how you could have any faith going into the season.
Not to mention the fact that back then you had a prime Hunt, a prime Chubb.
Right. Now they got nobody.
You can run everything in from outside zone, inside zone, off tackle. And back then, if you needed to get 2 yards, you can line up and get it any way you wanted to. Now it's a different way. It's a different thing.
The NFL Combine gets underway today. Jason